Second graders, today I'm going to be reading you a story called Making a Storyboard, and this story is by Rochelle Kreisman. My Aunt Carolina is an author who writes children's books. She works with an illustrator named Joe. Joe draws pictures for the book. Carolina's books are 32 pages long. After she finishes writing a story, my aunt makes a storyboard. A storyboard is like a map to help the people who are putting the book together. My aunt draws a storyboard on one big piece of paper. The paper is covered with little boxes that stand for pages on the book. Under each box is a page number. Inside the boxes are small drawings. Each drawing shows what Carolina wants to see on that page. My Aunt Carolina gives her storyboard to Joe. The sketches help communicate her ideas. After Joe looks at the storyboard, he talks to Carolina about the story. If they agree to change something, they can. They add those changes to the storyboard. When the storyboard is done, Carolina and Joe put the book together. Joe draws pictures based on the sketches. He also adds color. Sometimes Carolina has to add or subtract words on the page. When the book is finished, it is printed. My aunt always gives me a copy. I love her books. And here is the photo on the front of this. So you can see the boxes of the drawings. Those boxes represent each page, and each page has a drawing in it that represents what's going on in the story. So the author sketches out the storyboard so the illustrator knows what the author wants to see on that page. So now that we've read this text, you are going to want to complete this activity here on Seesaw. So I'm going to read each question, and when you are ready to respond to the question that I have read, go ahead and pause this video, answer the question, and when you're ready to move on to the next question, you can go ahead and hit play, and I will read the next question for you. So let's start with number 1. What does Carolina make after she finishes writing a story? A treasure map, a storyboard, a wooden box, making a storyboard is a process. What is her first step of the process? That's number 2. Drawing the storyboard on a big piece of paper, adding changes to the storyboard, giving the storyboard to an illustrator who looks it over. Question number 3. The storyboard that Carolina first draws may be different than the one that's finished. What evidence in the text supports this statement? A. My aunt draws her storyboard on one big piece of paper. The paper is covered with little boxes that stand for pages in the book. B. After Joe looks at the storyboard, he talks to Carolina about the storyboard. If they agree, they can change something. They add those changes to the storyboard. C. My Aunt Carolina is the author who writes children's books. She works with an illustrator named Joe. Joe draws pictures for the book. Number 4. Why might it be important for Carolina to communicate her ideas about the story to Joe? A. Because not as many people would want to read her story if there were no pictures in it. B. Because Joe does not understand stories when he reads them on his own. And C. Because they are working together to make the story into a book. Number 5. What is the main idea of the story? A. Storyboards and maps have a lot in common. B. An illustrator is someone who draws pictures that go along with the story. C. Using a storyboard helps a writer and an illustrator make a book together. Number 6. Read these sentences from the text. Aunt Carolina gives her storyboard to Joe. The sketches help communicate her ideas. After Joe looks at the storyboard, he talks to Carolina about the story. What does the word communicate mean here? A. Change. B. Think about. Or C. Share. Number 7. Choose the answer that best completes this sentence. Carolina and Joe put a book together, blank, the story is done. Is it A, after, B, then, or C, before? And then these last questions you should write in your response. Number 8, Joe works with Carolina to put books together. What does he do for the books? We're on number 9 now. Read this sentence from the story. A storyboard is like a map to help the people who are putting the book together. Explain how a storyboard is like a map for Carolina and Joe. Support your answer with information from the text. And 10. Does using a storyboard make putting together a book easier or harder? Support your answer with evidence from the text.